go. Well, it's that time on Wednesday when we welcome in Andrew Bone, recruiting analyst, senior recruiting analyst for BamaInsider.com, part of the Rivals.com network for the Bama Football Recruiting Report. How you doing, Bone?
Hey, good, Gary. How are you?
Doing well, man. Anxious to talk with you this morning because you've got some people stirred up Alabama-wise in a good way with the thought process that JC Latham, who might be the number one offensive tackle in the country from IMG. Of course, we'll get to the Brockmeyer twins in a moment, but JC Latham, long thought to be headed to Ohio State. Now it looks like that Alabama could be the favorite and that he could be making a decision soon. Am I right with that, Bone?
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking that it could potentially happen today. Would not be surprised if we saw a commitment happen at some point today. On probably Saturday or Sunday, we're starting to hear some words that it would happen before Wednesday or on Wednesday, and we're here. It's Wednesday, so let's see what happens. But you never know with recruits because they always want to have the perfect moment to commit. Whether that's getting the right graphic design or they want to get a video produced. With Ian Jackson a few weeks ago when he committed the linebacker from Prattville, he had made a video on, I believe it was a Tuesday, and then he had told me that it was probably going to happen on Thursday or Friday. So we were kind of hinting at that a little bit on our site that a decision was probably going to happen before the end of the week. But he decided to hold off, he didn't decide. I guess it was AL.com who did the video. Didn't get it produced until the following week, so he released it on Thursday. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer than anticipated, and you just have to kind of wait it out. But there's no doubt in my mind that JC Latham is going to be making a decision very soon, and could be as soon as today.
Will you make a prediction for us, Bone, on where you think he's headed?
Yeah, I think he's going to Alabama. I think that's going to be his decision when he announces it. We started talking about Jacey Latham on our site about 3 or 4 months ago, just saying how Alabama was really kind of starting to turn up the heat and that they were really involved there, that they had were really impressed with him as an offensive lineman from his junior season. He's only played offensive line for one season. He played last year left tackle, had a great year. He plays for one of the top high school programs in the country, and they don't play scrubs every single week. They're traveling all over the country to play top high school programs. So he's going up against elite players every single week, and had a fantastic year at left tackle for IMG, and really kind of I guess increased his stock a lot because he was mainly recruited by a lot of schools as a defensive lineman for the last few years. Schools that were interested in him. And then he made the transition to offensive line, and his stock just completely soared. And certainly became one of Alabama's top overall targets, not just one of their top offensive line targets, but one of their top overall targets in general. And the way that Kyle Flood and that coaching staff has recruited him, I think speaks volumes because he was in Ohio, a heavy Ohio State lean. LSU also, very strongly in the picture. Alabama was kind of considered, maybe third or fourth on his list, and over the course of the last, 3 or 4 months, they've really kind of. It seems like they have taken the lead for him, and we'll find that out soon enough. But I think Alabama has done enough to win his commitment, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Bone. What did shift? I mean, what did Alabama do to go from kind of on the outside looking in to the expected team to gain a commitment from him? That's quite a move by the Crimson Tide. Was it early playing time? Was it the success of other tackles in the program? Is it Evan Neal? What exactly led to Alabama going from maybe being third or fourth on his list to the presumed leader?
Well, I think it's all those things combined that you mentioned. Obviously, Evan Neal having the success that he's had, and he's obviously going to have a still a couple years in Tuscaloosa, and we'll have a chance to really be a top draft pick. And obviously, Alabama continues to have top draft picks just about every single year, and I think there's an opportunity, certainly an opportunity there for playing time. The development, the guys who continue to go, to continue to get drafted every single year. And I think the relationship with Kyle Flood has been very strong. And then Nick Saban. I think Nick Saban, taking a kind of a hands-on approach, spending a lot of face time with JC Latham and his parents, especially his mom. I think he really won his mom over. I think that's kind of the big key right there is I think his mom's been, a big fan of Nick Saban and feels very comfortable, at least sending JC to Alabama if that's going to be his choice.
When you look at Latham, and you gave us a background how he wound up as an offensive tackle, but you don't have to be a talent evaluator. You just look at some pictures of him and you look at a little bit of video. I mean, he is a impressive physical specimen that clearly has all the tools in terms of athleticism, size, long arms, quick feet. I mean, just you've seen a lot of great offensive tackles be recruited and signed by Alabama. Does this guy have a chance to be at the top of the list? How good potentially do you think he is, Bone?
Well, just from a physical standpoint, I mean, he's about one of the prettiest offensive tackles that you'll find in the country. He's well put together. He's got long arms. Very strong, very physical. Will fire off the ball. He's still learning the position though. Still trying to understand it and get better. And I think he's obviously he's at a great high school program, elite coaches down there, so he's getting great high school coaching. I think once he gets to the college level, he's going to be even better. And I think his best days are certainly ahead of him. I think he can develop into an All-American type player, a potential. He looks the part of a future first-round draft pick. Obviously, a long way to go there. A lot of development, and obviously you've got to beat out some guys. But I certainly believe he's got all the tools to be an elite player at the college level.
All right, let's get to the Brockmeyer brothers, Tommy and James. Clearly, Tommy is an elite prospect. James a good prospect as well. Alabama, you're really battling with Texas and others there. What's the latest update on the Brockmeyer brothers?
Well, James Brockmeyer, Tommy's twin brother, announced his top four about a week ago. Put out a top four of Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and Texas. And I spoke to their father, Blake, just to kind of confirm that was Tommy's top four as well, and he confirmed those are Tommy's top four schools. Now, would not be surprised if we saw a decision happen, within the next couple months. I really can't see this going much longer. We've talked about how offensive line is such an important position for Alabama in this recruiting class, and they're currently sitting at 0 commitments on the offensive line. They need, at least, in my opinion, 5 offensive linemen in this class. I think they're about to get a huge one in JC Latham, and I think the dominoes will start to fall after that. I think we could potentially see the Brockmeyer twins make a decision, like I said, within the next few months. I think Alabama's in my opinion, they're a heavy favorite right now.
Wow.
Despite the Texas connections with their father being an All-American there, and being in Fort Worth and certainly having all that pressure on them to go to Texas, I think Alabama has really just separated themselves from everyone else right now. And I don't think JC Latham's commitment to Alabama is going to be an impact on their decision because I feel like these guys understand that this is an important offensive line here. You're not going to try to go after 1 5-star and 4 3-stars, or you're trying to get the best players possible, and they understand that, and they know there's always going to be a competition. But there's also several spots on the offensive line. So I think that the relationship with Kyle Flood once again has been key there, and I think that relationship started a year ago and has continued to develop. And I think Alabama is definitely in the lead for both of those guys right now. And I would not be shocked if we saw a commitment happen within, like I said, before maybe in the next couple months. But I think before the season starts, and you never know, it could happen tomorrow. You just never know when some of these kids may decide to go ahead and commit. There's no decision time frame right now. They've both kind of said, we're going to announce when we're ready to announce, and that could be at any moment.
Offensive line recruiting a priority for Alabama in this class, and you can see the tide is, but they're looking good right now. I want to ask you about a defensive player that you've mentioned a couple of times here during our segment. I know as a defender, he's got outstanding athleticism, and that's Dallas Turner. It looks like Alabama's battling Georgia there. Any update on Dallas Turner, Bone?
Yeah, nothing completely new. I think there has been some thought process that he could potentially make a decision before his senior season. And if he makes a decision before the senior season, I think it's going to be Alabama. Now, if he decides to hold off and enjoy the visits, you just never know what may happen. I think Georgia, Clemson certainly in the mix for him, but also I think Alabama, as of right now, I think they have kind of moved ahead of everyone else, and I think they're in the lead now. He's come out and said they're the leader, and we see kids like that. We see a lot of kids say schools are their favorites, but you kind of start breaking it down a little bit more and saying, all right, maybe they're not really their favorite. But I think with Dallas Turner, they're in the lead, and I would be surprised if he if he makes a decision this summer and doesn't commit to Alabama. I'd be surprised, but no idea when he's going to commit just yet. He's kind of said he'll decide whenever he wants to, but or whenever he feels like it. But as of right now, I think Alabama's in great shape.
More good news. All right, what about Jeremiah Williams from right there at Ramsey High School in Birmingham, outside linebacker, 6'4", 225. I hate to say under the radar because everybody knows who he is in recruiting circles, but a guy that is picking up some steam. What's Alabama's interest level in Jeremiah Williams?
Oh, they love him. I mean, he's a guy that they feel like can do a lot of different things. He's 6'4", 230 pounds, can run. I mean, he's an outside linebacker, but could move inside. Could be a jack linebacker. Just don't know how much he's gonna develop over the course of the next couple of years. But certainly a top priority recruit for Alabama. Like I said, named the top 6 last week. I think it's really going to end up coming down to Alabama and Auburn for him. Grew up an Auburn fan, and they're certainly pushing for him, wanting him to be a part of their recruiting class. But so does Alabama, and I think what we're going to see here is Alabama has 2 linebacker commitments right now. How many more are they going to have by the time Jeremiah Williams gets ready to make a decision? Will he wait it out? Will he wait all the way until signing day? Will he wait until after his official visits? Who will be committed to Alabama, by then? Will they have Kendrick Blackshire on board? Will they have Dallas Turner on board? Potentially Keno Cote or Xavier Sorey, 2 big linebackers from the state of Florida. You just never know what's going to happen. I think Alabama's really trying to add 4 linebackers in this class. I think they'll get 5. I think they can get 4. I think they'll probably squeeze in 5. So we'll kind of wait and see when he gets ready to make a decision. But as of right now, I think it's an Alabama-Auburn battle.
Bone, Alabama, the current roster just appears loaded at running back. Obviously, you're going to lose Najee Harris. You're going to lose Brian Robinson. What's the latest on running back recruiting for this 2021 class?
Yeah, I think with running back right now, it's one of those situations where Alabama's kind of swinging for the fences. They're going after some top tier guys. They signed 3 running backs in last year's recruiting class, and as of right now, not a lot of guys that are out there that have committable offers. Now there's a few. Kamar Wheaton, top running back in the country out of Texas, and Donovan Edwards, another Rivals 100 running back out of Michigan. Those 2 guys have been heavily recruited by Alabama for a long time. Now, they've also heavily recruited Evan Pryor out of North Carolina, who's committed to Ohio State. Now, Pryor's come out and said that he's not going to take any other visits, that he's 100% solid with Ohio State. So, really kind of focusing in on Kamar Wheaton, Donovan Edwards. I think Alabama will kind of wait it out with those guys. Keep recruiting them all the way up until they get ready to make a decision. Now, both of those guys commit, elsewhere. Maybe they start looking at somebody else. Maybe they give a green light to somebody else. But as of right now, I don't see them pushing for anybody. Now, we may mention some guys that are on the radar that they're recruiting. I think just kind of keeping them intact, and potentially down the road maybe give them a green light to commit. But as of right now, I think the only two guys they're really going after is Kamar Wheaton and Donovan Edwards. See what happens with them, and then make a decision later on, because I don't think it's the top priority this year. I think there's a lot of positions that are out there that are top priorities. If you don't sign a running back this year, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You sign a couple in next year's class, but if you can get somebody like Kamar Wheaton or Donovan Edwards, then it's obviously going to be a great year.
Yeah, I think you're right on running back. You either get the best or you just wait to 2022. Speaking of 2022, Tony Tuscaloosa there, BamaInsider, wrote about Damari Alston getting an offer from Alabama, 2022 running back. Tell us about him.
Yeah, what we've kind of seen out of Alabama over the course of the last few weeks is we're seeing a lot of 2022 and some even some 2023 offers that are going out there. A lot of offers that you typically see happen at summer camp, and Alabama's having to go ahead and extend offers to a lot of guys. But Damari Alston, about 5'10", 205 pounds, out of Woodward Academy in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. He's got a ton of big time offers already. Certainly going to be one of the top overall players in the Southeast next year. Had a great sophomore season, and named Alabama. When he got the offer from Alabama, he said Alabama's running back you. So he said, his interest is definitely very high.
Getting ready to wrap up with Andrew Bone here on the Ready Mix USA hotline. I got a call yesterday, Bone, from a listener that just said, "Hey, Gary, do you think Alabama can still wind up with a top 5 national recruiting class?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." A lot of work still to be done, but Alabama's really starting to trend in a positive direction. They got a long history here since Nick Saban's been on board of having 1, 2, 3 ranked classes. Potentially now, Bone, with the way this thing is starting to come together, can Alabama make a push for maybe that number 1 or number 2 or number 3 ranked class in the country in 2021?
Well, they're currently number 4 in the country in terms of highest average star rating. Once this class starts to fill out, I would not bet against Alabama. Alabama hasn't finished outside the top 5 since 2007. That's a long time.
It is.
To have a top 5 recruiting class, and I just don't see them, not finishing in the top 5 this year. I think with the guys that they're recruiting, the guys that they're involved in, which basically is, every recruit that they're still going after is a 5 or 4-star target. So, we're probably going to see some rankings get changed over the course of the year. Obviously we would probably have seen a big, rankings update, this spring after a lot of camps, but those didn't happen. Summer camps aren't happening. So you're going to have to wait, for those updates to happen after the season. So I think once those happen, and a lot of these guys start jumping on board for Alabama, especially guys that are in the Rivals 100 that Alabama's in great shape with right now. I just don't see any way that Alabama doesn't finish with a top 5 recruiting class, even though it may seem a little low right now. I think they're rated number 34, but keep in mind they only have 6 commitments. They're probably going to get a huge one this week in JC Latham, and they're in great shape with a lot of other top talent.
All right, great update as always, Bone. Be watching for JC Latham possibly as early as today. Bone says the Brockmeyer brothers are trending toward Alabama. Dallas Turner, super defender that Alabama's in on. And anybody that we didn't cover that you might say look out for in terms of commitment watch?
Well, I'm always keeping an eye on the in-state guys. Kool-Aid, DeQuincy McKinstry out of Pinson Valley is always the guy that we're keeping a close eye on, because he could make a commitment at any point. I still think Alabama's in pretty good shape there, but the one that I would really watch over the course of the next, at least the next 48 hours is JC Latham, and then another guy, Kendrick Blackshire, who I mentioned earlier, is one of Alabama's top linebacker targets out of Texas. I think with him not being able to take any visits this summer, kind of what his parents wanted him to do is take some more, additional visits this summer and then make a decision. Because we thought he was going to commit a couple months ago, but decided to hold off. And I think he could potentially make a decision at any point.
All right. Great stuff, Bone. And you'll have the latest on Latham as soon as that commitment occurs. I know you'll have it at Bama Insider. Fill the listeners in on the different ways they can get your information.
Yeah, please follow me on my Twitter handle at Andrew J. Bone. You can follow us at BamaInsider.com. Sign up today for a 30-day free trial. Check it out. You can read all of our coverage on any of these commitments that happen for free, and then decide if you want to stick around. And always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is free. Just go to YouTube, search Bama Insider, hit subscribe, and you can follow every single video that we post on there for free.
Thank you, Bone.